animated mission stories, the city of Buenos Aires, and a story from Uncle Homer coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause. Today's program is coming to you from Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. Now, in Greater Buenos Aires, we have some 12 million people living, which means that more than 1 in 4 Argentinians live in this city. So it's a tremendous mission challenge in this growing city of Buenos Aires. Today's program is specifically focused on children, and there will be some animated mission stories. When we think about animation, we often think about Walt Disney, but the first animation feature movie was actually made here in Argentina back in 1917. And the director was satirizing the corruption and the lack of morals of the time. Well, on today's program, we'll take you all around the globe to see Frontline Mission. First up, let's travel to North America.
I am the second grade teacher here in Ebuy at Ebuy SDA School. I teach all subjects for second grade.
To her house. Go where? To her house.
Ebuy is a small island in the Pacific Ocean. It's part of a chain called the Marshall Islands. More than 15,000 people live on this small piece of land, and half of the population is under the age of 18.
Ebuy is very small, very populated, lots of children running around. They are very friendly. They will tell you hi, Yahweh, want to touch you, want to touch your hair, give you a hug. And then also there's not that many trees, not that many flowers, just a lot of buildings because, you know, such a high population.
Ebuy Seventh-day Adventist School plays an important role on the island. It educates children from preschool to grade 12. The school relies heavily on Adventist volunteers to function. Student missionaries especially come every year to fill the empty teaching positions. Elisa was a hairstylist in the United States, but she believed God wanted something else for her life. So she began praying for direction. Someone suggested that she consider volunteering her time for God's work.
I had no idea where Ebuy was, but there was an available opening, so I applied and I asked God to open the door if I was supposed to go or shut it if I was not supposed to.
Since she arrived, Elisa has grown close to her students. They frequently hug her and want to spend time with her. The bond she's formed with the people on the island has motivated her to put her best effort into her job. But there have also been major challenges to living abroad. Since Ebuy is an isolated island, getting fresh food here is infrequent, and healthy living can be difficult.
So some of the struggles on Ebuy have been getting sick and also not getting enough nutrition just because the food is very different here. There's not a lot of fresh produce. So my first sickness was chikungunya. It's a mosquito-borne virus. And then I got a dislocated kneecap from teaching the boys soccer. And so that was a struggle. I had to return to the US. When I had to return home from dislocating my kneecap, I was very angry. I felt guilty for leaving all my kids and my fellow missionaries. And I was angry at God. I blamed God for it. And I told all my family, I'm never coming back to Ebuy. And then I drifted away from God a little bit, and then I prayed. I started praying, God, I need to come back to you. Tell me what to do with my life. I need my purpose. I need to know what it is. And as I prayed, God showed me that I was supposed to come back to Ebuy because in the first place, who was the one that led me to Ebuy? It was God.
When Elisa's knee was better, she returned to Ebuy for another year of teaching. She feels even more dedicated and closer to the students than before.
What I like about being here is being able to provide that kind of support for the children and a nurturing experience for them. And most of all is Jesus Christ. You know, telling them about Jesus and his love and showing that love to them, not just telling them, but most importantly, you know, showing it in my own life to them.
One of the biggest obstacles the school faces is maintenance. The salt concentration in the air is so high that everything deteriorates at a fast pace. Something that would normally last 20 years in other parts of the world might only last 3 years in Ebuy. The staff and students are grateful for your contributions to the 13 Sabbath offerings.
Yes, most definitely the money is needed for our school. There are many renovations that are ongoing. You know, we constantly, with the salt water, it affects the building structure. And then also right now we have termites in the wood. So I think we're trying to turn the school into mostly, I think, concrete, so we don't have the termites. So yeah, there's a lot to do, and things are, they're always falling apart, just again with the weather, the salt water, and just a lot of kids, you know, maybe being hard on the school.
Please consider how you can help the Ebuy Seventh-day Adventist School in the Marshall Islands, as well as other schools throughout the North American Division. Education has a huge impact on future generations. Thank you for supporting the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
My guest is Shanina, who is a 1-year in mission volunteer here in the city of Lujan in Argentina. Now, this is a city of more than 100,000 people where there are no Seventh-day Adventist believers, no churches, and we are standing in a center of influence that is making a difference in the community. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, 1 year in mission, what exactly is that?
Un año en misión tiene como objetivo promocionar, ¿sí?, el servicio voluntariado a nivel para los jóvenes, ¿sí? Entonces los jóvenes deciden entregar un año de su vida al servicio del Señor.
Okay, so why did you decide to give 1 year in mission to come to this city?
Desde niña, ¿sí?, me motivaba mucho las historias misioneras, ¿sí?, de África, de la India, y eso fue creciendo cada día más en mi corazón, y el tener el deseo de llegar a ser misionera algún día, ¿sí? Y hace 7 años que decidí entregar mi vida al servicio del Señor, y este año estoy aquí en Lujan.
Okay, so Shanina, you are not here alone, you're part of a team. Describe the team and what sort of activities you're involved in.
Somos un grupo de 9 misioneras, ¿sí?, que está trabajando acá en Lujan, 9 chicas. Las actividades en el centro, ¿sí?, durante el día brindamos talleres gratuitos para la comunidad, como idiomas, inglés, portugués, bordado mexicano, manualidades, taller de la memoria para adultos. Pero en 1 minuto antes de comenzar el taller tenemos una partecita con un mensaje espiritual, ¿sí?, una frase o un versículo que meditamos con los alumnos antes de comenzar cada taller. Eso es durante el día, y durante la noche, lunes, martes y miércoles, ofrecemos talleres de salud, ¿sí?, de 7:30 a 8:30 de la noche, ¿sí?, para los adultos.
Wonderful. Now, can you tell me the story or a story of someone whose life has been touched through this center of influence and through the 1 year in mission team?
La historia de Emiliano, sí, es lo que más me gusta, porque él llegó al centro de influencia para participar de un curso un plan de 5 días para dejar de fumar, ¿sí? Esa fue la primera vez que él ingresó acá, y gracias a ese curso él pudo dejar de fumar. Y en ese último día se hizo la invitación, ¿no es cierto?, para aquellos que querían participar del taller de enriquecimiento espiritual, y él decidió. Y justamente hoy tuvimos la lección que hablábamos acerca del sábado, del día de reposo, y después de terminar la lección él salió decidido a obedecer los mandamientos de Dios, inclusive el día sábado, que para él fue algo nuevo, no lo conocía. Entonces descubrirlo hoy, eso me enriqueció mucho, y es el primero que ya está asistiendo al culto de los sábados a la mañana.
So Shanina, what has been the most rewarding aspect of the work that you're doing here?
Para mí lo más gratificante el estar hoy acá trabajando en un centro de influencia, porque es mi segunda experiencia trabajando en un centro de influencia, es trabajar con el método de Cristo, es hacer lo que Jesús hizo cuando estuvo acá en la tierra, es hacerse amigo de las personas, ganarse su confianza, atender sus necesidades y después decirle, seguidme. Entonces, el estar hoy acá trabajando en este mismo lugar es sentirme como se sintió Jesús acá al trabajar.
Wonderful. Now, this is not the first time that you have volunteered. You're a one-year in missionary this year. What have you been doing in the past?
A los 19 años, ¿sí? Tuve mi primera experiencia como misionera en Paraguay y de ahí fue creciendo más el deseo de querer seguir siendo misionera, ¿sí? Estuve trabajando en Paraguay, después volví, trabajé 5 años acá en Argentina. El año pasado estuve en Chile, ¿sí? En el proyecto Un año en misión a nivel de Sudamérica, representando a la Unión Argentina. Y este año, bueno, decidí seguir entregando mi vida al servicio del Señor. Y algo que me motiva a seguir haciendo porque quiero que Jesús ya venga. Entonces, sé que yo haciendo este trabajo estaré apresurando más la venida del Señor.
So what is your greatest hope for what will happen in this city?
Mi sueño para Lujan es ver plantada la iglesia adventista en este lugar, ¿sí? Y con eso me sentiría realizada, ¿sí? De venir y que quede realmente la iglesia en este lugar.
Wonderful. And what are your plans for the future?
Mis planes para el futuro es seguir siendo voluntariada, de seguir trabajando en el voluntariado, y mi sueño es ser voluntaria en África.
Wonderful. Shanina, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Muchas gracias. And viewers at home, it is a challenging thing to move into a new city where there are no Adventist believers and start a center of influence and be putting Christ's method of ministry into practice. And this group of young people need our prayers. They're enthusiastic, they have wonderful ideas, and they're doing wonderful things. So please pray for them and what they are doing. We'll be right back right after this break. Welcome back to Buenos Aires. Behind me is La Casa Rosada, which is the seat of the executive branch of the Argentinian government. Next up, Uncle Homer tells a story of a science teacher working in a very sensitive area of the world.
I'm a biology major, not a theology major, but I've never used the biology that I took in college except for twice. Once when I was principal of a small 10-grade school where I also had to teach history and math and Bible and PE and everything else, and once when I needed a visa to a country that wouldn't allow people with a theology major in. Because I had a biology major, I was able to get a visa and go in. They thought surely a biology major would be no problem. But I have a friend, in fact many friends, but one I want to tell you about. I'm going to call him John. John is also a science major, and John, I'm amazed at the way that God is using his science as part of the way to share the gospel. John has been hired as a science teacher in a Muslim country. It's a country that doesn't allow church workers to come in. In fact, this country regularly expels people who they think are missionaries or working for the church. But John has been hired by the government to teach science at a public school, at a public high school. He teaches from a creationist perspective, and that's thrilling to the Muslim parents. They are amazed that there's a Christian who believes that God created the world. He also teaches health. And many of the health principles that he's teaching to the students, they're also amazed at. They thought all Christians drank alcohol and ate pork. And here's one that doesn't even smoke. And he's teaching them that God wants their bodies to be healthy and they have a responsibility to keep them healthy. Those students are going home and telling their parents what they're learning, and the parents are thrilled to have this teacher there. Many of the parents and students have begun to ask John deep, serious questions. Oh, they start with questions like, why don't you yell at us like the other teachers do? Or, why are you a vegetarian? I want to be a vegetarian. But they also ask questions like, what happens when somebody dies? Or, do you believe in the judgment? And little by little, just by being his happy, friendly, loving self, John is making an impact in that community. Many of John's fellow teachers and other workers there at the school have become interested in this guy. He's different than they are. He's learned their language. He's teaching in Arabic. But he also is different, and they want to get to know him, and they invite him to go to eat with them. Well, that's quite a compliment in a culture where going to eat with someone is one of the best things you can do. They want to get to know John. They want to see what it is that makes him different from everyone else. You know, I'm thankful for your tithes and mission offerings that help to give John his training as a scientist that he can now use as a way to impact people in this country. John is a tent maker like the Apostle Paul. Oh, he doesn't make tents out of canvas. He teaches science. But John is using his science teaching as a way to impact the lives of his students and fellow workers. If you're interested in learning more about being a tent maker, go to te.adventistmission.org.
Next up, let's travel to Northern Asia and see an animated mission story from that region.
If you really pray, God will answer your prayer.
Ivel is a 10-year-old boy who lives in Mongolia. When he was 5 years old, he moved from Mongolia to the Philippines. His father needed to study at an Adventist university in the Philippines. Ivel also needed to study, so his parents sent him to the first grade. School was very difficult for him. The teacher and all the other children spoke in English. Ivel understood very little English. After school, the boys teased him as he waited for his ride home. "You can't do anything," one boy said. "You can't even write," said another boy. "Go to kindergarten." When he heard these hurtful words, Ivel ran back into the school and hid behind the door of his classroom. He didn't want to cry in front of the other children. That night, when Ivel went to bed, he wanted to kneel and pray to God for help, but he was afraid that if his mother saw him praying, she would ask him what he was praying about. Ivel didn't want his mother to worry, so he woke up in the middle of the night when his parents were sound asleep and quietly prayed to God. "Please let me go to another school and make friends," he prayed. Ivel prayed nearly every night for several months. Then his parents suddenly decided to send him to a different school. The children at his new school were kind. They helped him learn to speak English. When he hurt his leg playing soccer, the other boys helped him walk home. Ivel was so happy that God had answered his prayer about going to a new school. Before he prayed about his school troubles, Ivel had never asked God for anything. He had even wondered whether God really exists. Ivel went to church every Sabbath, but he wondered how God could create the world with just his words. But ever since his prayers were answered, he believes that God is real. Ivel is now in the 5th grade, and he lives back in his home country of Mongolia, but he has never forgotten how God answered his prayers. Ivel has many friends in Mongolia, but many of them come from families who don't know about God. Please pray for the only Adventist school in Mongolia. Your mission offerings have helped this school grow and teach more and more students about God.
You took upon yourself to die for what you've made. Wonderful Savior, Almighty Creator, merciful Healer, you are everlasting, perfect in splendor, yet humble in nature. Your kingdom forever. You are everlasting. God, healer of all human hurt, healer until the new earth. You are everlasting. You took upon yourself to die for what you've made. Wonderful Savior, Almighty Creator, merciful Healer, you are everlasting, perfect in splendor, yet humble in nature. Your kingdom forever. You are everlasting.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today on Mission 360. And I hope that you've been inspired and challenged by what you've seen and heard. And I want to thank you personally for the way that you are involved with Adventist mission. Every time that you pray for missionaries, for global mission pioneers, for ministry in the cities, for centers of influence, you are making a difference. Every time you give your mission offerings, every time you give a donation to global mission, you are making a difference. And every time you become personally involved in mission, you are making a difference. So thank you so much. And if you'd like to share some of the excitement of mission with your children or with your grandchildren or with neighbors, why don't you accept this free gift of a Mission 360 magazine that is full of stories and pictures designed especially for children. We'd love to send that to you. Well, for Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.